Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mark Isaac Putter Presents. Today, we're visiting with Jess, who lives in Utah. She's the owner of Wilson Pix, Pix. Jess, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me on. How are you today?
Well, it's wonderful to see you, and I hope you're on a lot of times in the future,
Would love
frankly.
that.
I usually ask people to be on like once a month,
Okay.
so we can keep up with the updates of your business and such. I'm trying to remember to turn the do not disturb on in my phone here. So tell us a little bit about yourself as a person. Like, where did you grow up? What kind of education do you have, and things like that?
Well, I was born in California. My family moved us to Arizona during my school years, and I lived there up until about 8 years ago when my husband and children and I moved out to Utah for my husband's work. He works for the
Oh,
Forest Service. He's a
okay.
wildland firefighter, so we moved out here so that he could take a promotion and not be gone for half of the year, which is nice most times.
Yeah. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
I tease him all the time. I'm like, you have to remember that we've transitioned in our marriage to where you're not gone all of the time and now you're home all of the time. So
Yeah.
you don't get to just
Yeah.
be nice during this like short period of time when you're home. I expect it all the time now.
Yeah. Oh boy. That's funny.
So I'm
We're
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, so I'm a mom to three. I have three kids. They're all grown, amazing young adults. My youngest, my baby, is 18. And then I have
Okay.
three grandchildren who are
Oh,
8, 5, and
you
2. Maybe
there's
she's
no
6.
way in hell
Yeah.
you look like you could be. No.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm a 1975 Gen X, and I like to tease and say it's because I drank a lot of Fireball when I was younger and did a lot of yoga when I got older.
Well, I like to tell people I grew up with Abraham Lincoln's father, so
I love
that's where
that.
I'm from. So what brought you to the photography business? How early did you start, and what made you decide, this is so interesting to me that I'm going to make a career of it or a business of it?
Love that question, Mark. Thank you. Um, I always like to tease and say I would love to say I was 5 years old and I picked up my pink Barbie camera and I knew that that was what I was destined for, but that is not my story. I took
Sounds good.
I was a total book nerd in school. I was always ahead. I was always in the higher classes, like the AP classes and stuff. And I took photography because I wanted to mix up the book work with something fun. So I took it as an elective. Absolutely loved it, fell in love with it. And then when I graduated from school, moved out, I got access to my baby books. I realized that I had like these baby books that had no pictures in them. So I have like
Mm,
dogs and family members that have passed that I remember in my head, but there's no physical documentation that I have access to anywhere that that shows them. And
right.
so when I got married and started having children, I was like, oh hell no. When they get their baby books, they're going to be like, "Mom took pictures of everything." And so that's how it kind of started for me. I was just taking
Oh,
pictures of everything. And then I started taking pictures for family events. And I did wedding pictures for
okay.
my sister in law's sister who was
Okay.
getting married. And they were like, "We love these pictures. You have such a natural eye for this. Like, you should really do this." And so I
Oh,
took an online class from Jim Zuckerman, who's a National Geographic photographer who travels the world and does workshops and stuff. And back in that day, you could take an online workshop class with him, and he would give you assignments and you would submit your work to him directly, and he'd give you direct feedback. And so I was
okay.
like,
Okay.
if he says I suck, I'll just keep doing it as a hobby. But if I don't suck, then maybe I'll do something with this. So I took his class. He said I did not suck. And so
Oh,
I turned it into a business, and it worked for me because it was something I loved doing, but it also allowed me to make my own schedule and be available for my kids and their activities and pick who I got to work with, that kind of thing, be my own boss, make my own schedule. So that's originally where it all started from.
Okay. Now, well, let me ask this question. What kind of photography do you do the most? You do portrait photography the most?
Well, so right now, as of today, I am specifically offering couples sessions. I call them sweetheart sessions, but then I'm specifically focused on branding and headshot photography for busy solopreneurs. And I do that remotely. So in 2021, I had surgery for thyroid cancer and we had COVID stuff going on.
Right.
And virtual photography was something that I saw a couple of other photographers offering during COVID. And so while I was in recovery, I joined Clubhouse and met people from all over the world that wanted to work with me. And I was like, I don't want to fly to Canada, sorry. And so I went back and looked into that more and through trial and error and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and pivoted. And so I'm about 4 years, I guess it is now, into that pivot where I'm specifically offering branding and headshots for solopreneurs, busy entrepreneurs, and I do it remotely, kind of thing.
Okay,
So,
so there's a lot in that series of sentences that I don't understand. You mentioned something called
yeah.
Clubhouse. What is that?
Yes. So Clubhouse is an audio app that is very, I always like to say it's similar to Zoom, like if you went to a Zoom network meeting and you had
Right,
everybody on the
right.
screen, except for it doesn't do video. It's an audio only. So you can go and create houses. So like I have a house that's just like a group or a club that's called Chats with Jess. And then you can host rooms, is what they're called, where back when I was super active on it, like 5 days a week, I would have different rooms where we would talk about different topics. So, like, say on Monday, I would go in there and I would teach about being your own advocate when it comes to your health and share things I learned on my thyroid cancer journey, right? And then maybe like
Okay.
on Wednesday, I talk about plants, and maybe on Friday, I talk about photography, and maybe on Thursday, I talk about branding. So you can
So,
go
so,
and teach in these rooms.
so you learned more about photography there, or you taught photography via Clubhouse?
I taught more there,
Okay.
kind of thing, about all of the things. But I also did learn a lot too, because other people could come into your house and
Right.
schedule and talk about what their topic in their wheelhouse and teach was about, kind of thing. And it's also just a great place to network and make friends and have a community. So
Okay. Huh. I'm
if
gonna
you'd
have to
like,
go
I'll
check
send you
that.
a link.
I'll have to go check that out. And I have to admit I have not heard of virtual photography.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work anyway? I mean,
Yeah. Well, I call it remote photography. The photographers that I followed that were offering it during COVID stopped offering it and went back into in person. So I was like, ooh, I'm going to pick up this ball and I'm going to run with it. So
okay.
I started using remote photography for the term and then like the hashtag and everything so that when they got popular, more people learned, like my stuff would be what would pop up.
Right, right, right,
Um,
right.
in a nutshell, I'm using a third party app that I'd have you download to your phone. And we plan and prep ahead of time. There's a questionnaire you fill out based on what type of session you're going to book. And I'll talk with you and help you with like outfits and locations and props, where you're going to use the pictures afterwards, all that kind of stuff. And then the day of the photo shoot, I log into the app on my end, you log into the app on your end, and I basically take over your camera on your phone. So I can't see or access anything else, but I can change which lens we're using. I can make adjustments to the settings. And then I take our pictures based on the shoot plan that we discussed beforehand, download the images to my end, run them through my editing processes, and deliver them to your email on file. That's
Oh
it.
my goodness. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. What is my phone doing over here? I am embarrassed to say
It's looking at my website so you can see samples of my
well,
pictures.
there. What the hell is it doing here? There we go. Um, I find this fascinating. I love photography. I'm not a photographer certainly, but I like, well, this sounds silly now, but I like looking at pictures. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I do a lot of I go out in my neighborhood and photograph flowers, and then I post them to TikTok and such. So
love that. I love
it's
that.
do you do any stuff that's not portrait? Like, do you do any landscapes or
I do I
not
do a lot of
much?
I do a lot of nature photography. I like you when I'm out with my kids, when we go on our adventures, I'm taking pictures of the flowers, of the plants, of cool
Okay,
things that catch my eye. So I do take a crap ton of pictures that are for my personal viewing pleasure. Sometimes I use them as like stock type pictures for some of my business stuff
well,
kind of
you could
thing,
sell
but
them to any of the stock picture websites, right?
yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. I've got a bunch of stuff that's on Unsplash, and a couple
Okay,
of different other platforms on there. So yeah,
okay,
but the majority of the stuff that you'll see that I'm posting on social media is going to be my client work. So that's going to be headshots and branding for small businesses. You're
okay,
going to
all
see
right.
those kinds of pictures. Typically, the pictures I take for my personal pleasure are pictures that I'll sometimes incorporate like into my reels or some of my carousels when I'm not talking about client work specifically. So
Okay, so reels and carousels. Tell me more about that.
those are just things on Instagram, like Instagram or
Oh,
TikTok,
those
like
kind
when
of
you're,
reels.
yeah, like
Okay.
real, like your social media content.
Okay, yeah, I don't use Instagram much. I tend to
Well, it's on
I ha-
TikTok too.
I
TikTok,
have
the
my
videos,
favorites. Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, would
I'm
be
an addict
reels.
on TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
I spend an obscene amount of time on TikTok.
The carousels is just like even on TikTok, the carousels is when you swipe through and there's like four or
Yeah.
five plus pictures and you
Okay.
swipe
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
them. That's a
Okay. Good.
carousel.
Okay. Can you give us your contact information for the audience? What
Yeah.
they want to reach you? How would you like them to do that?
Yeah, I would say start at the website. So it's www.jwilsonpix.com, and that's spelled JWilsonPix.com. And I say start there because I have a lot of information there that gives a specific breakdown on how the remote photography works. But then I also give a price comparison. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. So
Right.
I gave a price comparison of like when I was doing in person, I charged much more because there was much more that had to go into it and had to be covered. So I give that
Okay.
price comparison. You can see samples of my work. You can see the frequently asked questions, but you can also find, I'm on all of the social media platforms. So you can also find the link to your favorite platform and connect with me there, right there on
Okay.
the website. So it's all
Okay.
there.
Very nice. Very nice. And we're hoping you'll come on the show every 4 to 6 weeks as per your schedule to tell us
Yeah,
updates and
I would love that.
other niches within your photography business. Would that be okay?
I would love that. I would love to come back, Mark. Thank you.
All right. So, folks, we've been visiting with Jess of JWilsonPix, and as she said, go to her website, JWilsonPix.com, which we'll post in the description box here. And we'll see Jess real soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you,
Thank
Jess,
you.
for being on the show.
Thank you,
Many
Mark.
blessings.
Bye all.
Talk to you soon. I'm going to talk to you a little bit after the
Okay.
thing here, okay? All right.